There are three fundamentals mentioned as I have quoted the Holy Quran. So you can't run away from zakat unless you want to run away from Islam. It's impossible. Nobody can walk out of Islam, of zakat, without at the same time turning his back to Islam. Also, I didn't mention so many other things. Now you are here, I should also remind you that zakat is not just a system of paying your money. It is a system of paying your money for winning the favor of Allah. A present, a gift to Allah. Now a gift to Allah cannot be received literally in form by Allah. Ultimately it has to be spent upon you. So that expenditure part is just a secondary thing. The first important feature of zakat is that you are paying a gift to your so-called beloved. If you are not spending anything out of your earnings for your beloved, then you have no relationship with him. That's just a false claim. So this is the first initial spirit of zakat. And zakat means that it purifies your heart. It increases your love for your beloved. Now, if you are paying 20% or 80% to Canadian government out of taxes, will that fulfill this requirement? It's impossible. You can hate the Canadian government the more you pay, but you can't love Allah the more you pay the Canadian government. So that's the most fundamental thing out of zakat's definition itself. And then zakat, as is explained in the Holy Quran, is also zakat plays a very important role in increasing your wealth. Material wealth is wealth. So the Holy Quran says that it is just a fear that what you pay to Allah is diminishing your wealth. In fact, it increases your wealth, and most people don't know. They don't know how it adds blessings to one's wealth and holdings. If you truly give for the sake of Allah, you receive much more than you spend. This is the phenomena mentioned by the Holy Quran in so many ways. And this is exactly what the Ahmadis know to have happened to them, and this is a continuous living phenomena which is witnessed by every Ahmadi. What Allah pays back is much more than what you spend in His cause, in every sense. And there are also some hidden doors of His paying, which don't come to your notice until you begin to experience the difference between two phases of your life. The one where you did not pay zakat and the other where you started paying. But normally it comes so automatically that you take it for granted. For instance, many an Ahmadi has told me that, many instances, I am quoting just one or two. Many an Ahmadi has told me instances of this nature, that before paying their chanda to Allah, they suffered from one problem or another by way of people's disease, by children's diseases and mounting bills of this and that, things going out of order, that they thought they would never be able to break surface and come even with their income. And the life was made miserable because they were intentionally holding their money due to Allah on the excuse that they can't, it's impossible for them. The expenses are running too far ahead of their income, so how can they pay to Allah? So some wise man sometimes advised them, or somebody had a reservation himself, so that ultimately he started paying his dues to Allah. And the entire thing completely changed. The whole complexion was different after that. Once Chaudhry Asdullah Khan Sahib, the younger brother of Asdullah Khan Sahib, he also reported such a thing to me once. He told me that I mean, it's many, many years ago, but he's still alive, with the grace of Allah. And after that, he never suffered from the same again, the same type of problem. He said he used to delay his chanda because he thought other bills had a priority. He had a car, for instance, an old car, which broke down so much that to maintain it was a tax enough. So after paying all his dues and burnt out electric motors and things and this old hag of a car, he was left with nothing. How could he pay? So he was a chanda payer, in fact. But he said, all right, after a while, maybe I get some lump sum money and then I will pay. Then one fine morning, suddenly he thought, perhaps this is what is causing all this trouble. So now I am going to change my preferences. When I receive any income, I am first going to pay my chanda, then I will see whether I can make the two ends meet with the rest or not. And that is what he started doing. And suddenly everything fell into order. The car ceased to go kaput. And so the rest of the things around him suddenly reformed along with him. And he said that the difference was so marked and so consistent and permanent that I was absolutely surprised at what had happened. And this is not a solitary incident. I have heard from this from so many Ahmadis. Sometimes I receive letters where Allah has exactly made certain calculations so that the person knows that this is a special thing for him. I mean, otherwise he pays without counting, without keeping counts. But in some cases, when he wants to convey a message, he is very mathematical about it. So I have known people who it's almost a routine. I receive intimation to this effect that they had that difficulty, that they had that difficulty, and they had saved that much amount for that particular purpose. And they ultimately decided, no, the requirement of religion is much more important than this ordinary requirement. So they sacrificed. And the first thing as a message from Allah was that they received the money exactly to the same amount from sources completely unknown to them. They never thought of it, for instance. For instance, some previous mistake had been committed in their accounts and some dues to them were withheld. And the moment they decided to pay 6,343 rupees to Jamaat Ahmadiyya, for instance, the next day they receive a letter intimating them that we made a mistake, we are sorry, we owe you 6,343 rupees or whatever I said before. Exactly to the same amount. And these incidents are so many among Ahmadis that for a student of law of large numbers, it is impossible to omit them. No game of chance can ever produce such large number of instances in so short a community, which are so consistent with each other and which are so rare, normally so unknown to the rest of the world. So Allah immediately begins to pay you and to tell you, to inform you that you are not reducing your income, you are increasing it somehow. This is exactly the literal meaning of zakat. So it works in two ways. Spiritually promoting you and elevating your position by giving you greater love of Allah, greater satisfaction out of your own love for Allah, and secondly in the material direction as well. But I wonder if your Canadian 20% would do that to you. No, of course, yes, I know, I understand. And convey my regards to Ansa when you returned. I received letters from her very regularly. For the last 2 years, she's so regular.